Revenue per hour is what we are talking about for your injectors. It is a metric that really will separate the top injectors from just the busy ones, right? So think about it like this. You can have an injector that has a completely booked out, filled schedule, right? We all aim to get them totally booked. But when you run the numbers and find that she was only generating a couple $100 an hour, less than $500 an hour. Well, what that means is that busy doesn't necessarily equate to being profitable. And after we apply the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you today, you can double your injectors revenue per hour. Take them from just a couple hundred to hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars per hour, and really do it in a short amount of time. So because of time today, I'm not going to have enough to be able to share with you all the strategies. So if you want my complete training, make sure that you drop in the comment injector profit in the chat, and we will share with you the complete injector profit playbook PDF worksheet that really can take your injector to the next level. So first and foremost, you need to know what your injector's revenue per hour is, right? So first I want to know, Sherry, Sarah, do you track revenue per hour? Adriana, tell me in the chat. Dr. Cummins, tell me, do you track revenue per hour? Do you do it weekly? Do you do it monthly? Do you do it at all? And the way that you go about to track revenue per hour is that you take the total revenue generated by that injector, and then you divide it by the number of hours that they spend doing treatments or injecting, right? So you want to get rid of lunch breaks. You want to get rid of admin time, right? You want to look at revenue per hour when they are treating patients. So awesome. Alexis, Adriana, yes, you're saying yes, monthly. Sherry, you're saying yes. I love that. Okay. Well, you want to definitely do that monthly. Now, if you are having challenges with an injector, you want to track it weekly, right? If they're at or above KPI and target, great, track it monthly. But if you are trying to work with an injector to really grow it, then you want to track revenue per hour weekly. Because sometimes just waiting a full month is too long to kind of make adjustments when you're really trying to get aggressive and growing revenue per hour. So are you curious? Where does your injector rank nationally when it comes to revenue per hour? Now, if your injector is doing less than $500 an hour, they're on the low side. Sorry, they're on the low side, okay? If they are doing $500 to $700 an hour, then they would be in the range of average. If they are doing $700 to $1,000 an hour, they are above average. And if they are $1,000 plus, right, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 plus, then they are a top rank injector, a top rank injector. Now, guys, I know we would all love for all of our injectors to be considered a top rank injector and doing $1,000 plus dollars an hour, but less than 10% of injectors nationwide hit that top tier level, okay? But the good news is that there's absolutely opportunity to grow, to train, to increase your injector's revenue per hour. So if you want your injector to be a part of that $1,000 plus club, make sure that you drop injector profit in the chat, in the message board, and we'll make sure that we get you the complete training on just how to do that. Okay, so you've determined what your revenue per hour is. You've determined where they rank amongst the injectors all across the country. Now we need to identify, okay, what could potentially be the common reasons or themes of why they potentially are underperforming or how they are leaving opportunity or revenue on the table, because it's likely not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't have the desire to do better, right? But oftentimes it's real just basic structural leaks in either the consultation room, at checkout, and frankly, sometimes in the business as well. So getting a real understanding and grasp as to why an injector may have low revenue per hour is really the owners, the practice managers' first step in helping that injector to really grow. And so I'm going to share with you some of the common reasons that we find low revenue per hour. Okay. So first and foremost is that they have a poor use of support staff, meaning your injector may be handling tasks that could be delegated to a patient care coordinator or delegated to your front desk or a med assist or a runner, right? There's lots of different names and lots of potential different team members that can be supporting this injector. And this is a really important thing because most of the time your injector is the highest hourly rate in the building. And so you really want them to be spending their time doing what is going to give patients the best results and your highest return on investment. And so investing in getting them support to be able to do some of those admin tasks or patient experience tasks that doesn't require her level of expertise or knowledge is going to help drive revenue per hour, even if you have another expense to be able to take that off of her plate. A very common reason is that they have just too many low ticket services. For example, they rely way too much on just tox by itself, right? Maybe they even have a high concentration of low dose tox, meaning like 10 units here, 20 units there. I mean, guys, who only needs 20 units of Botox, right? It's just like not a thing. Maybe they're doing too much, medical weight loss or single service visits with real low average values on it, meaning they're not putting together comprehensive treatment plans. They're not utilizing all the tools in their tool belt, right? They just have a very low ticket service mix when you analyze what their patients are doing at checkout, right? So you really want to take a close look at that, which often means they aren't upselling, they aren't cross-selling, right? So there's missed opportunities left and right. They're not creating comprehensive treatment plans or doing bundled care service mixes, right? Using, a variety of injectables, lasers, wellness, retail, like putting it all together, right? Working on beneath the surface, on top of the surface, at home care, maintenance care, right? There's so many different ways to increase revenue per hour here. And a lot of times that has to do with just not being able to put together that comprehensive treatment plan, allowing the patient to dictate and say, oh, this is what I want to do, right? But remember that the injector is the professional, right? The patient needs to tell them what results that they are looking to achieve. And the injector needs to be a real leader in the consultation room and tell them what it is that they need to achieve that result. And it's going to be more than just 20 units of Botox, right? Another one on the business side is that an injector doesn't have clear revenue targets that they are expected to meet or to grow to, right? And this is on the business side, management, leadership side. Your injector may think that she's doing awesome because she's got a booked out schedule and her patients say that, they love her and she's got some great before and after pictures and she's got a following online. Those are all great things, right? But you should be coaching your injector. You should be holding them to meeting benchmarks and metrics and goals, right? So it's just as much your responsibility as the practice manager and the business owner to set them up for success, to hold them accountable. And another big one is that they lack confidence. They lack confidence. Now, if an injector doesn't believe they're worth premium pricing, right? Or they hesitate to recommend full face solutions because they wouldn't themselves spend that much money, right? Then they've capped what their own earning potentials could be or what they would ask of their patient because of their mindset, right? So I'm curious now, in the complete training, there's a number of other reasons that potentially are holding your injector back. But I'm curious, in the chat, share with me which one of those common mishaps do you find your injectors are struggling with? What's that biggest contributor to your injector underperforming? What do you think that it could be better? What do you think could be better that they need help and work on? All right, we got a question. What are some of the goals to set for your injectors? Great question. So we're going to cover that here in just a minute. Once you determine what your revenue per hour is, right, that kind of gives you a benchmark. So what you don't want to do is go from, let's just say they're at $300 an hour and be like, all right, in the next 90 days, I want you to get to $1,000 an hour, right? You want to give them success and wins, but make sure you preference it of like, okay, we may be at $400 an hour right now. And, this month I want to see a 10 or a 20% increase, right? To figure out what that benchmark is. But just know that like my long-term goal and vision for you, right, is to get to $800 or to get to $1,000, right? You got to set the stage so that once they show some improvement, that they just don't stop there, right? Talk to them about what's possible. Talk to them about what they want. What do they believe is possible, right? And then you reverse engineer a plan of how to get there. All right, so MJ shared time management, rushing around behind and getting behind with patients is a common thing that she sees why injectors have low revenue per hour. Yep, absolutely. Time management. And that's something that you can work on. You can improve upon that time management skill and you can build in processes and SOPs in order to improve on that. Alexa shared low ticket talks and believing in their worth. Gosh, I can't even tell you, I couldn't agree more that on that, the low ticket talks is all about a confidence thing, right? Because they're allowing the patient to dictate the treatment plan. That's why they're doing low dose talks, right? And because they don't believe that they're worth it, right? Or that they have money block issues themselves. We see it time and time again. Amanda says only doing talks and not being confident in suggesting other treatment plans. Absolutely. They try to sell, but they're not educating, right? They're trying to do sales versus educating the patient. That's great. Great feedback. Awesome. Okay, now let's talk about some strategies that is going to actually help grow revenue per hour. Okay, because here's the reality, guys, is a lot of people come to us and they're like, I want more patients. I want more patients. And the reality, if we did better, if we did more with the patients that we had, you would meet your revenue and your growth goals, right? So we just have to become more profitable. We got to work smarter, not harder at the end of the day. All right, so I'm going to highlight 4 or 5 different strategies from our playbook. But if you download or get access with Injector Profit, you'll get all, I think I have like 10 different strategies to help increase revenue per hour for your injector. Okay, so the first strategy that we love to do is to bundle and stack services. This is where you're really selling outcomes, not just syringes. I think it's so annoying when patients are like, I just want to buy half of a syringe, or I want to use half now and save half later, right? You want to sell or recommend total outcomes, right? And this is where I love when our consultant MJ is on and talking to clients about really creating that signature treatment plan, right? That is exclusive and special, right? That helps prevent the price shoppers, or I can get it this one syringe for this amount down the street. Will you match that, right? You want to bundle and stack your services, and that's going to help generate a higher revenue per hour. The next one is set minimum booking values. We have a client that it doesn't do Botox by unit. They do it by area, right? And so some people don't get that. Some people don't prescribe to that. But I tell you, this particular client that sells it by the area is doing, is a top account across the country in injectables, because they've really helped to create that exclusivity and that education and expertise with their providers, that their patients listen to what their providers are recommending based on the results that they say that they want to achieve. So look at potentially having that minimum by area or minimum by booking, especially when you have an injector that is close to being at full capacity. You can start shedding off some of those low ticket patients to some of your newer injectors, right? And basically increasing what they have to do in order to work with a top level injector. The next one is to delegate to coordinators, right? This could be a medicist, this could be a front desk, this could be a quote unquote what a runner is. But at the end of the day, you want your injector to inject, right? Not turn over rooms. You don't want her doing laundry, even prepping, syringes for that matter. You want her injecting all day long. And this is a key thing that is going to really help to increase revenue per hour. But this isn't like a flippant thing that you do, right? You got to be really strategic with how you're utilizing that med assist to make sure that your injector is really utilizing that time. And you also have to get the front desk coordinator, right? The scheduling person at the front desk to really understand the timeline between, treatment plans, turning rooms, and moving that injector from room to room to really maximize that opportunity. And then another really common one that again starts with leadership is just tracking it, having conversations about it, but not just tracking it and being like, okay, this month we either, hit it or didn't hit our KPI, but actually coaching on it, sharing what worked, what challenges are we seeing, right? And then troubleshooting those, training, getting their feedback, having conversations, going to other injectors that may not be struggling with that particular element, and sharing best practices, asking what their opinion, what support they would like to have, and then coming up with a game plan. Now, those are really the most common strategies that we see move the needle very quickly when it comes to increasing revenue per hour. And if you want all 10 of our strategies and examples, make sure that you comment injector profit, and we'll make sure that you get that complete playbook. Now, I think it was Alexis that was talking about confidence. And I want to circle back to that because I couldn't agree more, because you can't hit $1,000 per hour with a $400 mindset. You just can't do it, right? If your injector is afraid to charge more, afraid to even ask for money, to recommend maybe a service that she doesn't necessarily do, right? Like lasers or maybe wellness or body contouring, right? Or just in essence, afraid to take up space in a room. They're not going to rise to being a top ranked injector. And I am not talking anything today, you'll notice, about skill set in the sense of knowing anatomy or doing beautiful lips and contouring the face with injectables, right? These are mindset, processes, um, consultation, being a student of the game and knowing the tools and the tool belt that you have to offer and putting all the pieces together. And that's what it's going to take to really rise to be a top ranked injector across the country. Um, Now, I do want to touch on, because some of you may be surprised and me not mentioning quite yet about, because I'm sure that you get team members asking, like, I want you to invest in advanced training and courses. I want you to spend, thousands of dollars and send me all over the country to do these different advanced training courses, cadaver courses, ultrasound courses, anatomy courses, all the things, right? And that's going to help me improve my revenue per hour. And then on the flip side, owners, managers are asking me, like, should I do that? Should I make them earn it? And the short answer is like, yes, but let's have a plan, right? Let's make a plan so that it really is going to be a win-win for everyone. Because the reality is, guys, is I'm a huge proponent of education, right? Advanced, continuous growth in education and training. It truly has the power to unlock high ticket treatments, right? Shorten treatment plans, boost their confidence, and recommend ultimately full face solutions so that you're not doing these low dose one off treatment plans. But I do think it needs to be earned if you're going to invest in them. That's why I really recommend creating a performance based roadmap for you to invest in them, right? So what you could do is set a milestone, right? When you hit X, revenue per hour by this date, right? Or we'll check in again at this time, and they complete the required in-house training, right? Around, consultations and upselling and bundling, and really master the role-playing practice of the consultation, right? Because you should have an orchestrated patient journey of the way you do things at your practice, right? The checkout and really knowing and paying attention to their numbers. I love that. When that's achieved in-house, automatically right there alone, you're going to see revenue per hour increase. And as a reward and a good faith of showing you believe and want to invest in them further, because they're showing up and contributing to not only the growth of themselves, but the business as well, that's when you can invest in sending them to that great advanced training program, right? Because it creates that win-win for both of you, right? Your injector has skin in the game. They've leveled up with purpose now. They're taking ownership over their own growth. And your business also is going to see a return on investment, right? Not just time, but return on investment. So here's what I would recommend to really build buy-in and accountability at the end of the day. So first and foremost, like, they need to complete an internal sales process, consultation process training that you feel really confident that there isn't holes in their consultation process, right? The next thing is set a revenue per hour goal to hit at whether that's 60 days or 90 days. Give them a target that you want them to hit. And again, it's not realistic if they're only doing $300, $400, $500 an hour. It's not realistic to expect them overnight to jump up to $1,000 or $1,500 an hour, right? I think that if you were to find someone that's doing only $300 to $400 and they jumped that to $600, $700, you would be really excited about that. I mean, let's do the math, guys. If they work 30 hours a week times 4 weeks a month times, let's just say $150, they increased their revenue per hour, that's 18 grand a month with one injector by adding an additional $150 in revenue per hour. And guys, let's be honest, to add an extra $150 an hour is nothing. It's one extra area, not even quite one extra area of tox. It's not a syringe. It might be a skincare product, right? It might be a booking, a facial, right? It's booking one laser treatment for every couple or 5 patients. It's so easy to incrementally grow your revenue per hour, your total service revenue by just doing the little things. But as practice managers of business owners, it's not that our team doesn't want to grow, doesn't want to do better. They just need a roadmap. They just need you to help pull back the curtain and show them the way, give them different ideas in order to achieve it because they want to do it. They're open to doing it, right? They want to make more money. They want to give patients a better experience, better results, but oftentimes they just don't know how. So if you're someone to keep saying like, grow, hit this benchmark. Oh, why didn't you hit this benchmark? But you're not coaching them on how to do it, then we got to look at some self-reflection of our leadership, right? How we're coaching them, how we're holding them accountable, and we got to do it differently, right? We got to give them the support and training that they need. So the last thing that you get in the Injector Profit Playbook is a worksheet to do exactly what I just went over in the game plan, right? It's going to help you to calculate the revenue per hour if you're not doing that already. It's going to help you to identify and spot where the leaky hole is in your bucket, right? That's preventing them from the target that you are after. And then you're going to pick just two or three things, right, that you want your injector to focus on, right? Don't do all 10 of the strategies that I give you. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be like throwing mud against the wall and nothing's going to stick. So choose just 2 or 3 things for them to focus on and get good with those, right? And then when they master those, then you can add a few other things in as well. And in the beginning, you want to track this weekly, right? And then you can transition to tracking monthly once you're feeling really good about where they are. But if you are on an intensive, let's grow revenue per hour or for any metric for that matter, you want to track it weekly. You want to be having one-on-ones and conversations or in the department or the team meetings, really breaking that down. You want to be highlighting success stories of what's really working. You want to role play challenges, questions, and objections, right? Individually and both as a team. Especially if you are an owner or a practice manager that is not a provider yourself. That does not mean that you can't coach and hold an injector accountable, but you got to use different tools in your leadership tool belt in order to coach, inspire, and hold that injector accountable. So you got to utilize other team members collaboratively, collectively to grow and train as a team sometimes. All right, are we going to do gross or net revenue? Good question. So that would be gross. Gross revenue is how it's calculated. Any other questions before we wrap here? So Alexis had some feedback. Provider shares that she's worried a lot about losing patients to lower priced places. We are in a super saturated area. So how to combat that? So this kind of goes back to a couple of different things that I think that would need to be addressed. So if you feel like you're truly getting undercut and underpriced left and right, then you got to price things or package things differently so people aren't as easily like, well, I pay this here or I could pay this here for the exact same thing, right? So that's when that bundling, that packaging, that minimum cost per area or for solution-based packages need to come into play so that people aren't like cherry picking and comparing you, right? And then it's like, oh, well, that's apples to oranges, right? We're not talking apples to apples. Another thing too is that it's a mindset thing, right? And the reality is you're probably going to lose a handful of people when you're in a super competitive, saturated market that, I have women that are bouncing from one med spa to the next, but what I say is like, those aren't our people. Who cares? Let's focus on the people that really we serve, that value our relationship, our experience, our results, our advanced training, right? That's who you need to focus on, and let the other people go and not refer and just not worry about those. You got to build up your armor, right? You don't need all the patients in your market. You need the patients that are going to value you and pay for your expertise. You want the patients that are going to listen when they say, I want this result, and you give them a treatment plan. They're going to be like, okay, here's my credit card, right? And if you're creating the experience and you are educating them on why they should choose you, right? And that you can give them the result that they're looking for, very few times does that end up with a price conversation. And at the end of the day, if you can't overcome those barriers when you do a really solid consultation plan, education, experience, all the things, they're just not your people, and that's okay. Let them go, right? And so you acknowledge that that exists out there for your team member, but at the end of the day, only focus on the things that you can control, and then let all of those other barriers that you can't control, like let them go. And those just aren't your people at the end of the day. All right, great questions, great conversation. Hey, Alicia, thanks for joining us. Hey, Danny, hey, Gary. All right, guys, make sure again that you message us Injector Profit, and we'll be sure to either email you. If you're on Zoom, we're going to email you the complete training. If you are on our social channels, we will DM you the training as well. And if you loved this today, make sure that you share it with your team. This is such an important conversation, guys. Make sure that you share it with your team. And if you want your consultant to do an Injector Profit audit, make sure that you schedule some time with us. And this is a topic that we are super passionate about, and we have seen it just been absolute game changer in our clients' practices. So make sure that you're having this conversation with your consultant. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. Are you able to share the training with me, please? Yes, Alicia will make sure that we share that with you. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day.